Um, then we have not even just misinformation like being the only dangerous part of social media. We have, especially in the United States, of how it affects everyone who's on social media. Whether you're, as preteen is, I feel like a lot of these documentaries and things focus on preteens and like teens because suicide rates, depression, but it affects everyone. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not like detracting away from the problem. I'm not trying to detract away from like saying like, oh, teens shouldn't get the focus or anything. I'm just saying I feel like it affects everyone, even when you're an adult.
I think the reason they focus so much on kids is that it affects them so much
Yes.
more harshly.
Yes,
Right?
very, very
At
much
least
true.
as an adult, think of it sort of like this. You know when a teenager kind of has their first breakup or has their first heartbreak or rejection, and
Yeah.
it's like, oh, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me, right? This is a 10 out of 10 in terms of my emotional pain. But that's also because they're a teenager. They don't know any better. That to them could actually be their worst heartbreak, right?
Very much.
Whereas for an older adult, that might what you used to register as a 10 out of 10 might not hit them so hard because they've gone through so much more emotional turmoil or had a wider range of experiences, right?
And like being a teenager and being so emotional at that age, everything is there. Everything is there and placed in front of you, right on your face.
You're so much more susceptible to that.
Right? Everything, right? Like whether it's a breakup and then that person moves on and you see that online. Imagine what that does to a 17-year-old or 16-year-old, Like
Yeah.
Or
to
like
see
seeing
that.
random strangers or even your friends and family criticizing your pictures or calling you out for something in front of everyone else who then suddenly gets likes on their comment calling you out.
I mean, it's something even as simple as not getting as many likes on a photo that you posted recently than you did before, or not getting as many likes as your close friends. As something as simple as just a number under your picture will kind of destroy you in certain situations, right?
I think the
Right.
reason that they focused on kids more than younger kids is that because their suicide rates were higher.
Yes.
I think for middle schoolers it was more than double.
It
what
went up
high
by
schoolers
100%.
Yeah,
Or more than
150%.
like that, yeah.
150%
I forgot what it was.
in preteens or anywhere.
Yeah.
I think it was like until like 15 or something like that.
Crazy.
But like
Yeah.
like the whole question I guess I'm trying to ask is what would you teach kids? Like what would you teach your own kids about
Right.
social media? Considering
would-
that we've grown through it, like I
Yeah.
think all of us are technically Gen Z, or millennials. I think Pratik, you're the border,
We
right?
all
Millennial.
more or less fall on like that weird borderline territory, right?
Yeah.
I believe the documentary
maybe.
defined Gen Z as
96.
96 and above.
Yeah.
So we're literally just barely Gen Z, but then I've also seen millennial be argued as 90, like up to 96. So like,
Yeah. So
somewhere.
We're at that border.
but like I think all of us can say that we, even if we like grew up like even if like Facebook came out in 09 and like Instagram came up after that, we kind of grew up in this environment. What do you think you would teach your kids about social media? Would you not let them on social media? Would you tell them to be careful? Like what would you do?
I would take a cue from the people who actually created the monetization AIs and everything. I would not let my kid on social media until maybe, I think they said high school. I would take it that far.
Yeah.
Until
I would maybe
Wait,
allow them YouTube access in middle school or something.
Would you do you honestly like think that you would be able to go through with that? Like, at a certain point you don't have control over what they look at. You can say that like, no, don't do it.
I
like
would-
you're not allowed to.
Right. I would definitely put an effort into it after seeing the stats. Like if suicide rates go up like that, then depression rates are arguably going up at that rate or higher, right? So I mean, and depression is fucking killer, right? So I wouldn't want my kid to go through that. I would try to prevent it as much as I can.
Robbie, what do you think?
So, I can kind of relate to like some of my younger cousins, like my 10-year-old cousins, they use Facebook, right? But all they really do with Facebook is just talk to each other, like talk to friends and family, and that's pretty much it. They don't really like use the social media aspect of like, like going through pages and like joining groups and all that.
posts.
or posting pictures, all they really do is just talk to each other and like call each other. So like, I guess if I were to have a kid, they will most likely, if it's like, oh, I need to talk to my friend in some way, like let's say in middle school they need to talk to their friend in some way because they're probably going to want to talk to their friends, right? Then sure, I would let them use social media, but like make sure that they know what the restrictions are. Like, oh, just really just use it to talk to your friends. Use only this platform. Like they can only use like, let's say Discord or I don't know, like WhatsApp or something that's only purely messaging, but they can't really touch something like Facebook or Instagram until they're much older.
So then my question there would be, because like what you're saying, I don't think is wrong in the slightest, but I'm curious as to how you would enforce that, right?
Yeah.
Would you give your kids a smartphone to allow them to download WhatsApp and Discord or whatever platforms you thought was okay?
I don't think you're gonna be able to give them
No.
a phone that's not a
I'm not.
smartphone.
I'm not gonna buy them a smartphone. I think more than likely, I'll probably just let them use my phone if they need to, or like something that I own, maybe my laptop or something. But like, I won't give them a thing of their own until they need it when they're older, when they're, going out by themselves and all that.
You know, I think like my answer to this is it really depends on what my son or daughter really is, like how mature they are at whatever age. You know, I think like my biggest thing is what I would try to teach is that the biggest thing is your own mental health when you're on these social media platforms, right? Especially when you're a kid, like whether you're on Facebook or Instagram is, yeah, yes, you follow your friends, you talk to your friends, but a lot of it, they will be posting pictures, they will be talking online, and being online is a whole different story to being in person. People will say things, do things online that they would never do in person. I think my biggest thing is like to sit them down and like make sure that they understand what social media legitimately is and that their value as a person is not defined by how many people like their photo. You know, how many friends they have. I remember when I was younger, like I would like I didn't have like I still don't have like an obscene amount of friends on Facebook, even though I don't even use the platform. I
Are
would
you
see.
telling me you haven't hit 1,000 yet?
I haven't. I have not. I think I'm at like 500.
Are you really a Facebook user
Bro,
if you haven't hit 1,000?
The thing is, I haven't, and like I would legitimately think that I was valued less because less people were friends with me on Facebook. I thought that, like I did, and
Right.
it's such a sad thing to really think about. But it is the innate nature of social media. Like if I post a picture on Instagram that gets less likes than maybe like one of my better pictures, I will
Mhm.
feel a certain type of way. Like it doesn't bother me nowadays, right? But it doesn't
Right.
make me feel like it doesn't completely. I don't completely not think about it.
It doesn't hit you as hard now.
Of course.
Right.
So I like the
Okay.
crux of my argument is that teach them what the real idea of social media is, and if it's changed by the point I have kids, then obviously things will change. But if it is the way it is right now, it is legitimately about teaching them to understand the mentality you should have while you're on social media, and instead of like the way we were like put onto social media is just jump in the pool, jump into the deep end, and
Figure it out
try to
yourself.
swim. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so I have a question for you then, like a follow-up, I guess.
Alright.
Let's just assume for the sake of argument that social media more or less stay the same to how it is now, right? Because I think none of us can really predict slash factor in any changes down the road. Let's say more or less what we're familiar with as Facebook, Instagram, all the platforms, right? I don't know if you mentioned it, or at least I don't remember, but does that mean you say you would talk to them about social media and how to deal with the like it affecting their confidence and whatnot? At what age do you think that would be appropriate for them to actually start making and using these accounts then?
I don't know if there's a given age for something like that. Like, I really don't think that there's a given. I feel like if I had the like, if I had it my way, right, it would be it's up to the point where I see my children, I see my kids as becoming, strong enough or mentally like sound or mature to understand what I'm telling them.
Okay,
But
that's fair.
that's not gonna happen. That is not gonna happen. I don't have kids, but I know that's not gonna happen. Like I know what's gonna end.
Never be strong and mentally
No,
intelligent.
no, 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 no. What I'm saying is that I will never be able to control my kids to the point where I tell them like, hey, now it's okay to make a social media account. They're gonna have one whenever the fuck they want one. You know, that's what's gonna end up happening.
That's
Wait,
the
okay,
magic
but
of
now
the
see
internet.
that comes with a separate question of sort of what I asked Rafi before of that comes with questions of accessibility, right? does that mean you would give them, or they would have the medium to create these accounts at a younger age? Like, would you have any reservations about getting them a smartphone when they're younger?
I mean, I would. I guess I think you look into the options. Like obviously we're missing an entire piece here is our spouses, right? You're missing an entire piece
this is
here.
a one-side
Yeah,
conversation,
right.
unfortunately, right? 'Cause we can only share our opinions, but yeah,
yeah.
you're absolutely right about
Right, like
that.
so if there's an option in which I can get them a phone that is, do you remember the phones that we had that were technically smartphones? They were like technically smartphones, but you could barely do anything on them.
Are you talking about like
Yeah.
Blackberries and Sidekicks? Are you talking?
Yeah, shit like that.
I'm
Like
gonna just share for a second. My first phone was back in high school. Like not even the beginning of high school.
Yeah.
It wasn't until like sophomore or junior year of high school. Sophomore year. I think I remember that quite clear. My dumbass was walking around with a flip phone, like a straight up
yo,
T9 flip phone,
that's
because
some
my parents didn't want to get me anything nicer.
that's some hot
There was
shit.
no internet on that shit. If I want to text someone, I'm sitting there. If I want to say hi,
Four
I'm hitting
four
4448.
yeah.
678 but no,
Right?
the thing is, if that's an option, which I like, burner phones are obviously going to be an
Like,
option.
would you get a dumb phone for
I
your
would get a
kid?
dumb phone. I would get a dumb phone.
So up until what point? To like what? Like I guess
I
there's
don't
no.
think I put a hard age on it.
Always the factor of our kids are always going to be different, right? Some kids
Yeah.
may mature faster than others, or you may just have that conversation with them earlier.
Yep.
But I think sort of on an average, we can just look at it in sort of like a more zoomed out general view, right? At what grade / age do you think it
I
would
think-
be most likely for them
I
to
think
be mature enough?
I think it'll be inevitable, of them having social media accounts, and like the 6th or 7th grade. I think they will have, no matter how hard you try. I think they will have social media accounts at maximum 7th grade. Like before, after that, they will 100% have one. Before that, maybe you can work around it. I think in the 7th grade is like, or 6th grade is when they will have it, whether that you like it or not. You know what
Now
I'm saying?
that's more or less like around 12 to 13.
Yes.
Yeah.
And at that point, and I mean, we like me and Tamid and Rafi have all worked with kids these age, right? And I think at that age, if they're not complete assholes, like you can actually get through to your kids.
I'd like to think so, right? Like those kids around that age usually do have some capacity to actually understand the weight of what you're saying.
Yes.
I
Some
don't
of them.
think
You
it's
raise them like assholes, right? Don't get me wrong. There are kids who are raised to be complete shitbags, and you'd be surprised.
I think in some point of the movie they talked about how the kids kind of don't have a chance. They don't have a chance because like there are, for every single app out there that they have on their phone, for every single social media app, there's like a set team of software engineers that their job is to fight for attention, right?
Like
They have to
maximize the amount of
they
time.
have to maximize the amount of time. They're fighting other apps. They're fighting real life. They already beat real life, right? That's why we're on our phones all the time,
Yeah.
right? But it's their job to make this shit as addicting as possible, so they can monetize for clicks,
100%. Yeah.
right? Even if you like logic it through with a kid, I don't think even adults would be able to fight it. Like
Yeah.
if they have the option to, and it's just like instant dopamine or serotonin, whichever it is. I feel like eventually you would lose that fight.
So then, just to double back for a second, if I remember correctly, did you say you wanted to make sure your kids were at least in high school till they got a social media account? What
I
did
think,
you
I,
say?
think I might have said that. I think I mean for phones.
Oh, just
Like
phone.
with social media on their phones, I think they would probably have to wait till high school because they're gonna have social media on their computers, right? Like
Right.
I don't think it could stop
Yeah.
them from that. On their phones.
Well, this also goes into the question of how do you guys think social media should be regulated? Should it be regulated?
Oh wait, before we jump into that,
Yep.
I'm sorry. Are these like? Am I asking too many off-brand questions? Because I feel like this is such an interesting like well
we
to hop.
can keep
I like
talking
it.
about this. We can keep
Interesting
talking about this.
topic, yeah.
I
Yeah,
have
yeah.
one more last thing because
Yeah.
I heard all of your responses as to sort of what age / time range / requisites, right? Especially in the Keith's case, you would want to have fulfilled before you let them have a social media account or let them have the medium to make a social media account. What do you like? Because the issue is, unfortunately, anytime we raise kids, right, and like, of course, there's the factor of a spouse that none of us are actually talking about right now. And for the sake of conversation, I guess we won't factor that in immediately. But kids are not raised in a vacuum, right?
No.
Being kids, they go to school, they interact with other kids. Those other kids come from, any variety of homes and any variety of different methods of parenting slash teaching slash role models and whatnot. What happens when, let's say, your young child, whether young is 8, 10, 12, maybe even younger than that, they see their friend has a smartphone, they see their friend has these social media accounts, and they straight up ask you, hey, can I do that? What would your response to that be, or how would you work around that?
So this is why, like, my answer was a little bit more vague, is because that crosses my mind. It's like, I did it because everyone else had one, because I didn't want to miss out, right? And that, like, social media it is nowadays, it is not, oh, it's a fun thing to have that everyone has. It is literally how people communicate. It is straight up how people communicate in the world we live in today. My answer to that would be, first of all, if they're like 8, 9, I'm gonna straight up probably just end up saying no. Like, I don't feel like at 8 or 9 years old. Like, my cousin is 10 years old, and the fact that she has social media bugs me to all hell. But I'm not her father, right? I'm not her brother. Like, that's my little cousin.
You don't give a shit about her.
Wait.
Well,
It's
you
not
don't
my
have to.
place.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
It's not my place. It's straight up not my place.
Put your phone away.
No, I agree. I
didn't
agree,
know
though.
that app.
I mean, like, it's straight up not my place. If they're 10, no, 11, maybe 12 is when you have the conversation. Because I think the biggest thing, at least for me, to teach my kids is your identity on social media is not who you are. It never will be, and it just is not. Because that is how you fall into, the idea of making yourself on social media the best person you want other people to see. Because that's what we all are. That is legitimately what we all are. But it is
Right.
not actually who I am. I don't give a fuck about what I post on social media. It's gotten me into hot water, and it's gotten my friends into hot water. But I don't care about what I post on social media, because I know at the end of the day it doesn't mean anything. It does not mean anything.